Well, today we're in New Florence, PA, on the Baldwin Creek. We are looking for the Baldwin furnace, which is right here. This is a cold blast furnace, went into blast 1819. Not much information on this furnace as far as tonnage goes. It's protected with the state game lands, which is nice. So you can see all of the land. And I believe all the land on this right would have been where the Iron Master would have been. We'll probably metal detect a little bit just to see. But I think everything would have been on this side. We're going to get on and take a look at the furnace. So this is a cold blast furnace. We use charcoal as the fuel. Again, you can see a lot of trees here, but you don't see trees that are very wide in diameter. We have a lot of stones falling, but we would have had a charging ramp here. They would have brought the iron ore, pig, whatever was left by cart. There's a road that comes back up through here where my daughter is down between the trees. She's saying hi. And they would have wheeled it up here, probably with horse, and then dumped this on. So the cold blast furnace is one that uses the ambient air. So right now it's like 50 degrees. On the summer, 80 degrees. A hot blast furnace, there would have been pipes down there, and they would reuse the heat that came out through the chimney, and they would recycle it back through. Each one of these furnaces is similar, but they're not always exactly the same. They're the same shape. It's a pyramid with the top cut off. Again, you can see the top cut off, and the trees, unfortunately, the trees are going to separate all these and knock all these stones over, so this won't be around too much longer. But this is the first one where I've actually seen on that keystone a little rounded. So we're going to get on and take a look at everything. We do need to be mindful of bears, because bears should start coming out here soon. No snakes, thank goodness, no snakes. As you can see, a lot of the stones, a lot of the big stones have fallen. So we'll get on and kind of piece all this together, how this operated. Baldwin furnace from the side. I guess this would be the back. Certainly would love to see one of these in operation, but it would have just been spewing black smoke and sparks and fire. And then at the end, the neighbors, all the people around are complaining just how, dirty, sooty. So we can see this area down through here is the road that would have led into this. We'll work our way down through here. Nice little retaining wall. And it happens to be very slippery today because of all the rain. Don't see any bears in there, which is good. So as we come up on the furnace, we have a retaining wall. I can't imagine that's more than just a retaining wall. You can see some of the bigger stones here. That's what made this area so perfect for these cast iron furnaces. You have the sandstone that a mason could come in and cut. That's what all these stones are. You have iron ore, which is native to the land. You have all these trees. Again, this would have been, at first you probably would have had a couple of acres, but at the end of this, by the time it was blown out, you'd have just totally barren. Looked like a desert. And you see the shape of this one. Normally, again, these are more of a pyramid, but this one is stepped up, and then it's stepped up again. And you can see the gaps in the stones. Just the normal water in there freezing would move these stones. So if I were doing this, let's see how many openings we have here. I believe this is 3 openings. Furnace. And you can see stones that have fallen from the top and rolled down. So we have one on the side. We have one in the front. And we'll get a little closer in here. I'm not sure if we have one on the other side or not. We will look. Nothing on this side. All right, so one of these sides is where the iron ore would have been tapped. Again, this is not someplace you want to be in the summer with all the snakes. You can see the discoloration up through here. You see the big iron bar that would have supported the rocks, the hearth supported the rocks. We can actually get up underneath here. And there's a view looking up on top through. So you see more rust here than anything else. You see how the stones cracked right there. So the way they would have done this is they would have cut these main stones. They would have lined everything with a big gap in the center. Place all these stones where they needed to be. And then on the inside there would be lined with fire brick. Fire brick would have been in a pot with a chimney going all the way up to the top. There would have been holes in it for them to blow air. Alright, so this would have been the blowing of the air in. They would have dammed up this creek. Probably brought the water up through here. It would have been a paddle wheel, maybe right in here. That paddle wheel would be hooked to two blowers. So that'd be the old conventional blowers that you see in the forges that would just kind of blow constant, again, room temperature, air, whatever we're breathing now, temperature, air in, and that would accelerate the flames. That would really intensify it and get it to melt faster. Exactly. All right, so this side of the furnace, again, all the charging was done up on top. So you have two ends. One end is blowing air in through the tweer, and the other end, which is where the molten cast iron would come out. On a lot of these furnaces, you'll see the smoke. Looks like this is just so old. I mean, again, 1812, is that what we said? 1819. So, right after the First World War is when this went into blast. You can see again all these stones here have fallen down. But this would have been where the cast iron, when they blew the furnace, actually would pull a cork, pretty much a cork. And that would bring the molten iron out down here through troughs. Each trough, each one of these slabs, little pigs is what they called them, would weigh a ton. So, you could do 10, 12 tons a day. These things would run seven days a week. I don't believe they ran in the winter, only because the water to the paddle wheel would freeze and that wouldn't give them enough air. So again, you have your charging ramp up here. You have the water wheel blowing air in, and then this is where the iron master would come out and basically pull the plug, and then just 20 tons or so, maybe 10 tons of cast iron would come out. So before they would do that, they would let everybody in the area know. Again, this would all be under wood. None of this stuff would have been out here. So everything would have been under wood. And the pattern makers would be here. The blacksmiths would be here. The foundry men would be here. So they would make stoves. So they would have their a big pot with ceramic. And they would pour the molten metal into that. And then the guys would come over. The pourers would come over, and they would pour the molten metal into different flasks, cope and drags, that had the patterns of the stoves, cast iron skillets, pretty much any cast iron for what would be the frontier. All right, so when we came up, they come up the road on the state game lands, and of course, shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and we walked down through all that. Here's a smarter way, which is the road that they would have cut, nice and flat. You just pretty much walk right through here. You don't see that whenever you're coming up. You're more focused on the furnace itself. But this is the road that the horses and things would have used, the carts, to get the scrap iron ore the scrap iron, cast iron. So when they were done with this, these pigs, ingots, whatever you want to call them, would have been brought out here through a cart, you know, the donkeys, horses, whatever, on a wagon, and would have been floated downriver, closest river, Allegheny River, towards Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh processed everything. So that's the road out. Some of these furnaces are marked, they're national historical sites. Other ones are just kind of there. It's kind of weird when you walk up on a furnace, you've never seen one before. You know, to find something like that in the woods, it's kind of a little creepy. All right, then to summarize, Baldwin furnace, nice location. Get a chance to come out and take a look at this. Still in relatively good shape. Things needed for one of these furnaces back in those days, and these furnaces only ran about 100 years. You know, 1700s, mid 1800s. By the Civil War, most of these were done. This wasn't efficient, wasn't cost effective to do this. You know, you have to have the right location. You needed a stream. You needed sandstone. You needed iron ore. So there had to be iron ore in the area. Obviously there's trees. This would have been the center of town for everyone. You know, you don't really see anything here now, but you know, this would have employed 100 or so people on site, maybe 50 people on site. You know, you'd have guys falling trees, making charcoal. This is before they understood coke or coal. The foundrymen, you know, then the housewives would be here, you know, planting gardens and cooking, you know, making bread and things like that. And then you have the guys actually doing the foundry work. So I mean, it was pretty active. Again, you can see all the stones, pretty much all the rubble up on top, and it's kind of nice. It's sad and it's nice to see one of these in disrepair, because you can actually see what went into building one of these. You know, these guys, you know, every 5 years, 6 years would tear it apart and put new lining in it, replace bricks and things like that. But you know, as you can see, the trees up on top, as soon as the trees take hold and the rain gets in there and freezes, then that expands everything. And you know, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years, this will all come crashing down. So a guy named Richard Parks got me started on this, I think in around the 2000s. He went through and found the book, the Thomas and Sharp's, A Guide to Cut Stone Cast Iron Furnaces in Western Pennsylvania. And he put together a list with GPS coordinates of all these furnaces. He visited a lot of the furnaces. This was one of the furnaces he visited. Referencing that book would tell you the tonnage and tell you any other little snippets about, you know, how many, I don't know, where they sold their wares. You know, you can look at topographical maps now on some of these furnaces, and you can actually see the furnace, and you can see some of the buildings. You know, again, the buildings are made out of wood, so they're gone. The foundations are gone. And again, it would be nice to metal detect some of that. So there's Baldwin furnace in a snapshot. We'll try to get this one posted. So here's my daughter. She's carrying everything for me today. How nice that creek is, Baldwin Creek. I'm not sure if there'd be any fish in there. It's kind of running pretty fast. Too bad they don't allow camping up here. But they allow bicycles. See how the creek is down here. It splits off. It's one of the nice things I like about coming out looking at these furnaces. You know, you're out here looking for a furnace. You're out here trying to document history. Because again, these furnaces won't be here forever. But you know, there is some good scenery. I don't think I want to climb up that hill. You can go up there if you want, Aim. I don't think there's anything up there. And it's starting to rain, so I think we timed this one perfect. If you have any comments, put them in the comment fields. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to putting more videos up.